We're live! We did it!
Started the countdown timer.
Hello,
Over.
everyone. Hello, kid behind the countdown timer.
They didn't have to know the countdown timer was going without hitting live. Hey, Paul. Hey, George. Yes, the Gremlins have left the town. Left the town.
More gremlins. More gremlins.
It's pretty cool music. I think I may have to do something with that.
It's like funky but soothing.
Yeah, it's like chill but upbeat. What's up, Maggie? Nice to see ya.
Hot Toronto.
I would enjoy that hot in Toronto because that's not that often.
Yeah. Toronto just beat the Red Sox at the baseball game I was at this week.
Oh, yeah?
I was like,
Wow,
oh yay, but
interesting.
sad. I love Toronto and hate Toronto.
Is that heat in the house?
The Canadians are on.
Yeah, the Canadians are showing up early. Let's go.
We Canadians, we're a prompt bunch.
Are you a Canadian too?
I am a Canadian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sneaky.
Okay, we're about ready to come live. You guys ready? Or we could hide behind the countdown timer for a while.
No.
I'm just kidding. Here we come. Here we come. All right. Yay! Hey. Woohoo. What's up, everybody? How are you?
Hey,
How are
there's
you? How
Tommy
are you?
from Alabama, who was on yesterday with us.
Hey, oh, Tommy.
That weird Alabama.
Tommy's got that. He's got that radio ready voice, man.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So nice to see you, Katie. I just saw you in the back room, but I'm going to pretend I just saw you now.
I know, it's like the first time, and nice to see
know.
everyone hanging out in the chat. We're gonna kick off with not even an apology. As a Canadian, we apologize too much, but I'm
That's
sort
true.
of glad that things went kind of crazy yesterday, because this whole workshop is about, handling things and remaining calm and thinking on your toes and staying positive throughout it. And I will say, so we had Scott on and myself and Gary and Adam, and every conceivable tech issue happened to us yesterday. There was an Ecamm bug that we found in Scott's Ecamm. There were internet connectivity issues that we don't even fully understand, but some weirdness happened and everything went wrong. But we found the recorded file, and Paul helped us get it up online. And because we love all of you guys so much and know that we were all having a lot of fun, we've convinced Adam and Gary and Scott to come back and do an exclusive games and improv time in the Ecamm community. So if you are registered for this workshop, if you go to ecamm.com/loud, get loud with us, ecamm.com/loud, completely free. Yep. Make sure that you're registered, completely free. We'll send you a link later to an exclusive Ecamm for Zoom session that we'll do into our community in a Zoom space so that we can all jump on and practice and play games together, because they were really fun and I think a great opportunity. So thanks for sticking out with us with our tech challenges.
Yeah, thank you, and thank. This is my first live series, so it's like that. It's been it was handling it, but that's what meditation and improv and all these good things do, is they keep you prepared, and everybody. Yeah, Adam and Gary, you're always
so
professional.
Calm.
You're like,
everyone was just like, no, we're good.
Katie's like, pull the plug. I was like,
shut it down.
Right, shut it down. And it was like, and those guys are like, hey, it's improv. That's what happens. And that is really the lesson that I wanted to share about that too, just in response to that. That really is such a great practice. And again, people hear the word improv and it is fun and it's playful and it's creative. It's really, it's so great. But I always say it's like, it's got such a deeper meaning to it and such a deeper impact
Yeah.
to it when you actually perform it, because you really can find the depth of your soul, and you can find the like the inner voice and the quiet, and putting one voice over here, and how
Mhm.
you react and how you do everything. And there's no
Mhm.
mistakes. There's no mistakes. That's the thing. It's all, that the whole philosophy of yes and is such a beautiful thing, because we can literally, I remember being on stage and like falling down accidentally on the stage, and everybody would fall down with
No.
me,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody would fall down because it's a yes and it's like I always say, the universe has your back, and that's the beauty of this stuff. So we handled it, and I think, and it wasn't even in the script, and we have no script because it's improv, people.
Yeah.
So
That was my
anyway,
big actually, that was my big takeaway from yesterday, aside from tech challenges, was I think that I came into this workshop, and even just in my experience in getting to know you better, with
yeah.
a an wrong understanding of what improv was. So in my mind, and I'm a theater kid, so I grew up doing,
Oh,
theater and being on stage, and I some improv, but I definitely thought that I needed to be funny, I needed to be on, I needed to sort of support the team. I didn't want to be the one that like
right,
dropped the ball, or or
right, right,
messed up the improv. And so I don't think I realized actually how much improv can benefit camera presence and video production and podcasting and hosting and all of the stuff that exists within the
right,
world of Ecamm, because I was approaching it from like, I need to be funny instead of
right,
I need to learn how to react better. I need to learn how to train my mind to stop panicking,
right, right, right.
to stop
And
overthinking
see,
and thinking the
there's a
wrong way.
perfect example. See what you just
Yeah.
said. You weren't trying to be funny, but it made us laugh when you just said
Yeah.
from panicking, because you're present and you're just speaking your truth, and that's what improv is. Improv, and I really love hearing that, because yeah, I think the number one thing that everyone who's afraid to do improv or has a misconception about it, they think it's like they have to be funny, and it's you don't. The worst thing you can do is try to be funny with
Yeah.
improv, because the humor comes from just being stupid or saying something weird or saying something completely that doesn't match anything, and or it doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't really matter. A lot of the time is just it's your body posture, it's your
Yeah.
emotions, it's the way you handle it, it's your facial expressions. It can be anything. And that's just beautiful. And I think what happens with people when they're doing lives or they're doing the pre-recorded video, and they think they got the teleprompter going, is this is step number one is this, and here's my slide, and it's like, God bless them if you can do that, because my right brain goes, it does not work that way. I've done it, but it's never the same. There's something about when you're scripting that you lose your presence. And when you lose your presence, you lose your spontaneity and your play. And I honestly think play is one of the biggest assets we could have in anything, any area of our life, especially on camera, especially presenting, especially being on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I was waiting for a response. I'm looking over there. I was like, where's my? Because now I'm having an awkward improv moment. I'm like, okay, so now what? Yeah. So just want to hit on that. I think. Is there anything else you want to say on that subject?
No, I guess from a technical standpoint, so here's
Yeah.
what we did if you are keeping up with us. So day 1, completely fine. The replay is available right now in the playlist here on YouTube. We will send you all the email reminders if you are signed up so that you can access all the replays. Day 2, which was yesterday, the link from the email, if you follow the link from the email, will take you to the live stream. We left that there, but it's unlisted. And in the description, we added a link to the recorded version of it, which has the end part. So click through so you can see Hank at the end, because he did such a great job, and
Right.
he
And
did a
then
really
bam.
incredible job with Gary's. Yeah,
Right.
with
Yeah.
Gary's game. So the recorded replay version is longer than the live, and so if you're just coming to YouTube, you'll automatically see day 2 as the recorded version. But if you come through
Cool.
your email, there's just one extra step. So if you have any questions, you can always find us marketing@ecamm.com. We're happy to answer any questions. But that's what happened yesterday. We've got it all solved thanks to an incredible team. So thank you to the
I'll
team
bet.
for
Yeah,
helping us solve
that was
everything.
fast. Yeah, you got. Oh my God,
Yeah.
the things that were happening in real time were
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Have a
yeah,
team. If that's the one advice I can offer, like, there's
yeah.
nothing that makes you feel more calm than knowing that you have someone else there that can help and help quickly figure out the best
Right.
way to help serve
Yeah.
our audience, right? So
And you have Daniel on call where he just pops right into your stream. Like
yeah,
that was
yeah,
great. That was great. So
yeah. Thanks.
cool. Well, I'm glad that that worked out. And I'm excited that we'll do a bonus day. We'll pick out a day for that and let everybody know. Um, and I think I'd like to just touch a little bit because we're going to have an open forum here as far
Mhm.
as like coaching questions. And I really, really would love whoever's here to feel free to just ask any questions you
Ask
have
away.
around improv, around your challenges, around being on camera, around live marketing with this stuff, like anything. Because I'm going to show you
Yep.
some clips later about how using humor and how that can be used in like either as just like to get attention and have some fun, or it can actually be used to sell for
Yep.
those of you that are in the creator entrepreneur space, which a lot of you are. And so I just want to give you that push and say, otherwise Katie and I are going to talk for you. And so you probably want to talk for yourself. But we'll hold on to that. We're not doing the Q&A yet. That'll happen in just a few minutes. But I just wanted to go over a quick review and recap of the session so far, the 2 days, and really the overall theme that I've been trying to get across to everybody is number one, fun and joy and play is contagious. It's just a beautiful thing, and it's really releasing that inner child inside of us. And that's where the magic can happen. It's never going to happen being stiff. It's never going to happen being afraid. It's never going to happen reading a script. It just can't, because the only time play can happen is like when you're present and you're just in your mind shut off the best you can. It's going to be hanging out there blabbering, but it's going to when you can just be present and play and kind of listen to what's going on. Like I said, I have an old friend named Kyle Cease who has a thing called Evolving Out Loud. And I think I shared on day one or two, how maybe I didn't share it here, but I will for a second. His marketing is really cool. He had this live event he did all the time. It's called Evolving Out Loud. And he would literally do like a sketch piece of comedy, just like a short 3-minute sketch, and drive people to a sales page that basically said, we don't know what we're doing. I have no script. I have no plan, but it's going to be awesome. And people signed up and he'd fill the theater with like 1,100 people. So it's like, you'd be surprised what you could do when you break the rules of what everyone's telling you have to do. And that's really my biggest philosophy. My biggest thing I want to convey is break the rules, just do you. And it's all about being free. It's all about being free. Everything I've been sharing, everything we've been talking about, demonstrating, is all about freedom and next level freedom. Because like we said, you can be an 8 or a 9 on camera, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're being fully authentic and fully yourself. You might be comfortable, but you might not be sharing certain things, or you'll be hiding certain things, or you're scared to say certain things. It's like, this is all about truth, but just don't get canceled. Anyway, Katie, any
Truth, not
response
cruelty.
why I reach over to get some water?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. No, I would say, as I said earlier, my big takeaways were really just that it's about getting outside your head and the
Right.
things that you tell yourself that you may not even realize you're telling yourself. We say this often, like, oh, I can't go live until, I've got all the
Right.
studio equipment.
All the
Oh,
things.
I couldn't possibly show up right now. I don't have my makeup on. Oh,
Right.
shoot,
Oh
I was going to
shoot.
do this and my, whatever happened. Like, those are all things we're telling ourselves, even if it may even come out without you thinking about it, but you're reconfirming to yourself that you can't
Right.
do it, that you're not good enough, that it's not going to work, that
Until
people aren't going to like
until.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so we need to tell ourselves those different stories, and I
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it is being able to kind of embrace the mistakes, push through the mistakes, stop seeing them as mistakes. So I think it's been a good lesson for me. As I said, I came into it
Yeah.
thinking it would be more about trying to be funny and kind of bouncing off of each other and collaborating, and I really
Right,
feel like
right.
more of it is reminding myself, and however that is, that works best for me, but reminding myself not to take myself so seriously, that when
Amen.
I was a kid and I wasn't thinking about it so much, that I did a lot more creative things. I
Right.
wrote more, I
Right.
drew more,
Right.
I played more, I did these things because I wasn't worried about what someone else was going to be thinking about it. I did it for me
Yeah.
because it was
Yeah.
fun to do. So I hope that we can get back there. As Tommy says, it's the paralysis of analysis. It is
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's wild. It's like what I notice is that, what I do in my work and what I had to do in my own life, because I was guilty of exactly what you're saying. And that's why I do what I do now, as a big part of it, being my own creative, my own artist, but it's also helping people break free from this, because it's painful. And it's like what I notice is I think we are starving. Not only are we starving for and craving connection and humanity and heart and just realness, but I think we're craving this ability to play and let loose and have fun. And so
Yeah.
many of us have lost that with this professional and this adult stuff. And it doesn't mean that you can't be professional and you can't be successful and be playful. Because like some of the most successful people I know are like super playful. Look at Grant Cardone, love him or hate him. The guy's a goofball. You know, there's
Hmm.
people like that that are super successful. And it's not even about that so much as it is your own joy and your own happiness. And what Katie was alluding to as well, or that I'm reflecting back, is that perfection trap. That is just, it's just fear. It's just fear. Like we have the biggest fear we have is the judgment or not good enough. Like those are two big things. What are
Yeah.
they going to think? And until there's only one way through, and that's why I'm a big fan of the creating out loud thing, which is like go through the hallway, walk over the bridge, just trying your next version of yourself. And if you stumble, great. And if someone's going to be a not nice person, then, just boo them and tell them to get off stage or whatever.
There are so few of those though. Like I will say, the more that I've
Yeah.
stopped overthinking it and just been honest about where I'm at, or shared, I've shared like some of my first live streams. I've shared live streams where, the audio didn't work, everything went
Right.
horribly wrong. There was
Right.
one where I was a guest and they went over to my camera and I wasn't even there. I was like running downstairs to get something. All of
I
these
love it.
kinds of moments, I posted them and I was like, "Oh, someone who is better at this than me is going to think that why do I have this job and they don't have this job?" Or like, why, and
Right.
no one says that. Everyone says things like, "Oh man, this was really helpful. I had these kind of moments myself and I really was going to give up, but I pushed through." Every time I've been vulnerable, people I didn't
Yes.
even know were watching or listening came
Yeah.
out of the woodwork and left comments
Right.
and said
Right.
to help them, and said, so it's bigger than you. It's bigger than how you feel. It's helping other people push past how they're feeling as well, because you're never alone.
Yeah.
There's always someone else that feels the same way as you do, or has like a similar challenge, and you being honest about it publicly out loud, right, makes a big difference to people, to not only to you but to everyone else that is watching, that you may not even know they're watching, right? We all have these like varying levels of social presence online, whether, whatever that means across various platforms. And there's probably people in that group of the, of your followers and fans and friends and family who you don't even know are paying attention, or you're like, "Oh, they're not into any of this." Like they're, they
Right.
live a
We call
completely
them
different life.
what do they call them? There's a word where they're hiding in the background,
They're
but they're
hiding in the
watching
background,
you. They're watching you because it's like,
but they but
it's
they
not stalker.
are.
That's not the right word. It's like they're
Yeah.
actually like, they're watching you and listening to you. And what you said to me is one of the biggest assets you could have is vulnerability. And it goes back to Brene Brown. If anyone knows her, it's like,
Yeah.
the dare to be great, or dare to be great, but she's all, or whatever it was. No, dare to be something. But I know vulnerability is one of her big things. And
Yeah.
it's like we are so programmed to think being vulnerable and letting people see, oh my God, we're weak, we're this, we're that, we're not perfect, we're whatever. That's actually how you connect to people's hearts.
Yeah.
We want humanity. And again, I'll say it more than ever now, more than ever. This is not the day of like everything has to be perfect and slick and polished and whatever. We're done with that because we're tired of it. And so
Yeah.
it's superpowers. Superpowers is your vulnerability,
Lurkers.
your
Yeah.
truth. Lurkers, that's the one. Right on, right on.
See, you always got to bring a studio audience with you. They always have the answers.
I like Paul's little thing there. I think he just said, he said, your question should look like this. Otherwise, it's just a comment. Oh,
Mhm.
I thought he was saying something smarty, but that was
No,
smart too.
that's moderator move.
No, that's moderator. That's very moderator. I thought he was like, but this isn't a comment or whatever. This is whatever. So, let's see. Anything, we can go through some of these comments here.
Yeah, we have a few questions. Are you ready for a
I
couple
see,
questions?
I see Rich. Rich wants to know if people find me intimidating when they meet me. So, I can ask Katie what she thinks of that first, and then I'll give you my rebuttal.
I don't. I've not found Scott to be intimidating at all. No.
Yeah, I wonder where you might have that question from.
Yeah,
So,
Rich, do you find Scott to
I
be intimidating?
yeah. Do you? I think I look at it this way. Like, for a lot of years, I hid. First of all, I know one thing. I lead more than anything. I lead with fun, and I lead with a big, beautiful heart. Like I care about people more than most people that I've ever met. And that's just because I've been through so much pain and so much struggle and so many tragedies and traumedies. That's a good one.
Comedies.
Hey, I just coined a new TV
Like
genre.
it.
I'm writing a show. I'm writing a dramedy show right now. Maybe I'll try a
Yeah.
dramedy.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like sometimes people can be intimidated when they're, I don't even like to use the word people shy. I don't think people are really shy. I think people tell themselves a story that they're shy, but some people
Yeah.
are just afraid to let themselves be seen, whatever level. I understand that I have a level that can be, I know how to tone it down, but I also learned to not to dim my light for other people anymore either, because we all did that for too long. And it's like, you don't want to dim your light. You got to be yourself. And there's going to be people that love that in me. And there's going to be people that are like, it's like nails on a chalkboard, like any other entrepreneur creator in this space. You find your people, and your people are going to love you. And that's why they tell you to not purposely, but to be a little polar opposite of like, you don't want to be a people pleaser and be in the middle and trying to make everybody happy, because then it's like you're not making yourself happy and you're not going to
Yeah.
make anyone else super excited. So you really
Yeah.
got to just be yourself and just trust that you're going to find your people, and the ones that don't, God bless them, and they'll go hang out with someone else.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
that's that one. Let's see. Paralysis of analysis, Tommy.
Zahid
Wait, we
Zahid
got a
asked,
double Q. We got a double Q.
yeah, QQ
Q.
question.
That's a, let's see.
We we use
You can read
improv
it,
for
Katie.
whimsical and tension reducing connection. Yesterday, Scott shared some really personal traumas and was vulnerable. How do you know where that line is when the audience is virtual? This is a really great question. When you don't see the audience's faces, you're only seeing a virtual audience when
Right.
they're dropping questions, or I guess in like a Zoom or a Meet when they turn their cameras on. But yeah, is it
Right.
is it
Right.
harder for you in that instance to be vulnerable because you don't see the other side? Maybe it's easier in some ways.
Um, Well, when he's saying, how do you know where the line is? Is it allowing yourself to be vulnerable, or is it going from the fun to the vulnerable? I'm not quite sure I understand the question fully.
I think so. I think the it's like where do you draw the line
Oh,
on how
tension
vulnerable
reducing.
to be? Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of, if you can share human stories and things you've
Mhm.
been through, and you're not in the trauma currently, and you're like pouring out your toxic stuff.
Mhm.
If things are completely healed, I think they're beautiful. I don't see any problem. And I think I've learned to a point now where I can weave in and out of that stuff pretty good. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not a speaker per se. Like, I'm not being on stages just giving keynotes or any of that. So I'm not polished or rehearsed in any of this stuff. But I think because of so much meditation and improv training and
Mhm.
musical creative abilities, there's a lot of space. And so over the years, I think that space has given me the opportunity to just feel the crowd or feel the flow. I'm really good at feeling the flow. Remember I was saying yesterday
Mhm.
how when I'm making a solo video, not doing a live one or doing a Zoom call, I can get that thing because there's space there, and I'm like, oh, I just get a picture that I should drop that as a B-roll, and this can come
Yeah.
in. So it's like the more space you give yourself, which is really about presence, which really comes
Yeah.
from meditation, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, all these different things, improv
Mhm.
practicing. That stuff will really help you be discerning about
Mhm.
how the flow goes, and where's it okay to be funny and where's it okay not to. And even the best comedians, and I think I shared an example about my family too. It's like when my family was near passing, they were still laughing at their stuff. Like, it was the way we
Mhm.
kept things light through all the pain. And so it's,
Yeah.
there's always a line in comedy, right? Because otherwise you can get canceled. But I'm too small to be canceled, so whatever. uh,
This is a great question from Jamie. Jamie asks, we get 2,000 to 4,000 viewers on their YouTube podcast, but no sponsor commitment. Do you have to attract huge numbers to be or be on multiple platforms for sponsorship? Well, I can speak about this from someone who sponsors a number of shows and events and things like that. I would say no. I think actually a lot of sponsors are looking for not so much for the overall vanity numbers of how big your audience is, but actually a lot more on how engaged your audience is. So, do you have people who are showing up to your live streams, who are, who are on your email list, who are in a community or a Discord or a Facebook group that are engaging and responding back? That matters more from a sponsor point of view, because really they're trying to get you as the partner to put their product or service authentically in front of their audience in a way that will convert those people, right? So you don't want, like, I would never want someone marketing Ecamm that doesn't use the software, right? Because then it's not
Right. I
going to
mean,
come across as
ridiculous.
authentic to
Right.
the users, right?
Don't
So
tell
it's
Katie I got Ecamm last week.
no, Scott's been using Ecamm for a while. Not to live stream though. So this was a test for us to see whether or not, how it would work out. But because this whole workshop is all about authenticity and being yourself and playing with it in improv, I think this works fine actually, because Scott's
Yeah, it's
learning about
great.
it and shows that the software can be used in a number of different ways, right? You could be a power
Yeah.
user in one aspect of it and not in
Yeah.
others. So, no, I would say, get out there and start reaching out to sponsors that make sense, but I would approach them from the point of view of, hey, this is not so much the size of my audience, but this is the value of my audience. My audience
Yeah.
shows up for me, and and here are the ways in which they show up, and here are the things that they want to hear more about, and here's how your service or product fits into that. So just get
That's
good at the
great.
pitch.
That's great. See,
Yeah.
look, I had to learn how to get the pitch. No, I'm going to add to that too, and I know Katie can also
Yeah.
probably bounce off this as well. So there's sponsorship things, and then there's partnership where you're actually creating content for a brand. So you can approach it from that perspective too. We're in a time right now where most brands, other than people like Katie's brand and people that are cool like that, but most brands and companies, their content creation is pretty not so great. Let's just say that, or it's not authentic, or it's not produced, or doesn't look good. So I know there's two things that are happening that are they're trending right now, bigger than the last couple of years. And I got that from, I'll give Sean Cannell a shout out for that. Number one is user generated content, which is basically just like using your iPhone as a customer and being able to give shout outs and testimonies and just kind of creating commentary from a real person in a real environment that
Mhm.
uses a product. That's a really big trend right now. And also the other one, like Sean says, is creating content for brands. So because they're coming to us a lot of times, they're not coming to like say, hey, how big is your following? How many sales can we get per se? But maybe it's like, hey, you guys come on, we'll do a recording and we'll have like 2 hours of recording, cut that up into 50 shorts for you. And now all of a sudden you
Mhm.
got these highly produced, beautiful, pieces of content you can dish out for 2 or 3 months or evergreen. And so there's a lot of different ways to play with that, but I'm a big fan of that. That's how I'm moving forward in certain aspects of my business as well, is finding ways to, and ultimately it just always comes down to how do you add value
Mhm.
to the person you want to work with. And I like Katie's version of it in some ways too. I like the partnership model more so than the sponsor model. Sponsor model to me feels it's a little different, but I know it's like, and I know when we first met, I'll be vulnerable. I'll probably get in trouble for this. She was, because I was reaching out. I'm like, you want to sponsor my show? It's cool. And I came from our friend Steph Lou, and she said, we don't really do sponsorships that much, but it's like partnerships. And that's when we started talking and having dialogue around that. And I love the idea. I'm like, well, my YouTube channel is not that big. I mean, I've got 75,000 on social and I have a decent email list and stuff like that that's really engaged. But I was like, I didn't feel like I could get sponsorship necessarily because I'm like, my YouTube channel is pretty brand new. Started in
Yeah.
2009, uploading in 2024.
Mhm.
But what I saw is like, well, how can I add value? How can I add value? And this was one of the things that we thought was a great way to do that, to add value to the community. And I'm doing a case study as well, which probably I've said it 3 times, probably shouldn't have, but it's like, and there's going to be a cool video and a blog poster on
Yeah.
that as well. So it's cool. So I hope that helped.
Yeah. Actually, I have one extra thing to add in since I don't see a ton of other
Yes.
questions coming through.
Okay. Okay.
And this is a piece of advice. I believe maybe it came from Doc, but there's also important things like as you're creating and producing your content, whether it's I can't remember if you said it was like I think it was just a YouTube channel, right? So as you're creating your content, there are expenses that come with that, right? So
Right.
there's video equipment and gear and studio gear that you have. There's potentially there's other tools like video editing tools or some of the tools
Sure.
like Opus Clip, which help you
Yeah. I
clip
use
up
Opus and
those videos
Descript.
fast.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, right. So like that's a really great starting point, and it might not be something like, "Hey, sponsor my show or sponsor my channel." It might be like, "Hey, I'm a creator. I
Yeah.
use your tool and I love it, and I'm growing my channel right now. Would you give me a free year of your tool? Would you give me a
Oh, that's
free
interesting.
webcam, etc., in exchange for my promoting your product online? I'm going to give it, an honest review and feedback, but as I grow my channel." So if you're small or you're still smaller and you're still growing, an ask like that is much easier and a lower lift for a company than
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
thousands of dollars every single month, right? So
Right.
that
Right.
might be a great starting point to start building a relationship with them. And also then it lowers your costs, right? So you have less upfront costs. And so then maybe sponsorships are less important to you. Maybe that's not your main, your main goal anyway. So it's always
Right.
worth thinking through, or like a studio space, like maybe you're at home and it's not a great environment for you to actually be recording content. Maybe there's a local place where it's like, hey, cut down the cost of my renting this space, or give me this space for free once a month, or what, you negotiate some things that way and then include those as sponsors on your site
Sure.
that then may
Sure.
attract new sponsors by saying like, oh, this channel already has 3 or 4 sponsors. No one needs to know to what level your
Right.
sponsorship
Right.
is but you, right? So
Right.
start building those
200 hours a
relationships
year.
smaller than you think, right? Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
it.
No, it's
Yeah.
great, and you can also that's really a great example. I
Mhm.
definitely love that, and also there's the ability to what was I going to say here that I thought was good? To if you have your own product, you can be your own sponsor too on your show. I know
Absolutely.
that's not putting money in your pocket necessarily from an outside third party, but you can definitely do that. A lot of people do that. They'll put their own course
Mhm.
or their own ebook or whatever they're doing on there, or selling a live event ticket. So you can be your own
Mhm.
sponsor too. And I think we get caught up in the different things. It's like at the end of the day, it's like, how do you add value to people? How do you create? And I'm a big fan. Like I learned, you're from Canada. Do you remember a company called Peak Potentials? T. Harv
Yeah.
Eker?
Yeah.
That's where I learned joint ventures. I was his joint venture guy. I put
That's
together,
awesome.
I put like, I made that guy millions of dollars every weekend. It was incredible. It was like, I learned that and I was like, what? It's like, that was the very first thing I learned on the internet. They flew me
Yeah.
out to Canada, the whole thing. And,
That's so
and I
cool.
ended up putting these deals together for them. And I was like, what a model. Like, this is what all the big people use. Yeah. Once
Mhm.
they have more money, they're spending money on ads a lot too. But it's
Yeah.
like joint ventures, partnerships, collaborations will outperform any other organic marketing or,
Yeah,
trying to run cold ads. It's the
people don't really
best.
want to actually be sold to or at,
Right.
right? Like you don't no one
Right.
likes that, right? So but we will take advice from people we know, like, and trust, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
someone that has built an audience of people that trust you, then, give them tools and gear and things, products that are helpful to them and helpful to
Right.
you. And that's a
Right.
much better relationship anyway than trying to find things that are just, money makers. So
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
what you need and use and love, and those are the companies you want to build relationships with.
Yeah, that's what I do. The only one I love is Ecamm. So
Yeah. Always
I'm
just us.
done. I guess I'm out of business. So whatever. It's nice seeing y'all. Ooh, I'm getting a red Tim. Is my sound okay? I realized I had it up a little high. It was getting a little hot. Was it okay?
It sounds
Hopefully
fine
it's
to me,
okay.
but I
Okay.
haven't seen any comments come through.
I just saw a little
Tom,
red. Yeah, it looks like it's
okay.
fine now. It was just there was a tiny bit going into the red, so I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Okay.
Uh, Tommy said one of the best examples of of scripted improv I see today is the Savannah Bananas baseball experience. Oh yeah, they're
Sketch. Yeah,
awesome. If you haven't
sketch. Well,
seen that.
sketch comedy is different than improv comedy. Sketch is
Mhm.
great.
They're
Sketch is
killing it with crowds and makes me feel like everything is strictly ad-libbed. It's scripted in the framework of a baseball game. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a
I
really
love
fun
it.
one.
Well,
Mhm.
remember the show Curb Your, I don't know if it's still on, Curb Your
Yeah.
Enthusiasm?
Mhm.
That show was literally, they had like a little bit of a framework and the entire show is improv. I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
I love
That show
that.
was great. I love that one.
All right. We're getting caught up on the comments here. Lurkers. Brene is great. Um,
Oh,
da, da,
we have
da.
a question coming in that says, "You seem so intentionally intentional on saying without saying, I see you. Was this a part of your healing from the past that developed into creating out loud?"
Oh, wow. Who said that?
That's a great
That's beautiful.
question. Just
That's beautiful.
Tornado?
Um,
Tornado.
wow, that really touched my heart. Thank you. Yes, it came from a lot of pain and a lot of very deep inner work.
Mm.
And my heart, oh, getting a little mushy here.
Mm.
That just really opens my heart because I know what it's like to feel like you don't fit in, you don't belong, and you can't be yourself and all those things. And I think after going through so much pain, and again, I wasn't like abused or anything like that. It was just this kind of story that I had going on and being around an environment as a kid that, and again, there was love in the house and laughter and all the things. It wasn't like I was like abused and beat up or anything. It was none of that. And my father and mother, my father was a teddy bear. He didn't have the tools, like a lot of, old school people. But I think what happened is over the years of all the hiding my gifts and not putting myself out there. When I first got on the internet, I was afraid to use my real name on the social medias because I was like, I started in 2009 on Twitter. I was at the entertainer. I was like, well, I guess I grew into that one. But it's like, but my biggest part of my mission is just to help or to want people to feel seen and heard and loved and know that they matter. Really, really get that, because that's one of the biggest human needs. I know on our spiritual level, we don't necessarily have to have that, but on the human needs, we all want to be seen and heard. And when you can make people feel seen and heard, you're doing your job. It's like, then you've got the walls are down. And when you can bring laughter and love, see, I call it the 1-2 punch, and it's not scripted. It's just my being. Love, when you can make people, like I always say, if you can make people laugh till they pee in their pants and then cry from tears of joy and laugh, and love, you're doing a good job. What else could you ask for? Everything else outside of that to me is a joke. So thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Made me all soft. Now I feel like I need to do something like,
trying to get into your examples. It's me,
I'm walking my talk of being freaking vulnerable. Darn.
Yeah. There you go. You're doing it.
Let's see, what else do we have in here? Katie, you're ahead of me on the comments.
That's okay. We're caught up.
I love that comment.
Yeah, we're caught up on everything. Do we want to jump into the videos and then we can jump back into comments afterwards?
Sure, we could do that. I'm going to take a screenshot of that because it's like, I feel, makes my heart sing. Okay. Okay. So what I want to show you now, because I know, I think in the day 3 email, the last couple of days, we put out that we were going to, and I had to remember that last night. I was like, oh, I promised that. Darn. Not darn. Because originally, and I'll share the context here. Originally, we were going to do a lot of stuff around using AI and comedy for getting your brand and marketing and sales out there. And we decided to lean much more into on this particular training to keep it more about your confidence and your courage and letting loose and just getting on camera. So maybe some other time, whatever. But it's like, but I wanted to show you some of these ideas anyway. So the first one I'm going to show you, because the other ones are going to show me up like crazy because it's my mentor who taught me all this stuff. But so the first one is an ad that I shot, the first one I ever did with an iPhone. There was an outline and some basic ideas. And what I was sharing with Katie earlier on is this was for a client, first of all, that is a copywriter, was selling a copywriting course. She's actually in the video wearing a purple hat. It's another thing I love. Funny ad business is a whole other conversation. It's just, oh my God, it's so great. Because they convert 80% higher, which I think is why I'm showing you this. They convert so much higher than regular talking head ads or even organic content. And you can still bring people to your sales pages that are serious and doing your thing, offering transformation. But anyway, what I was sharing was this thing ended up being, I think, like 95% improv, because that's how my mind works. It's like, I'm like, oh, we had this idea here, but I'm like, no, in this moment, let's do this, hold this up or do this or do this. So this basically, the context or the theme of what we were hitting on, so the whole thing with these kinds of ads is you want to use your marketing skills of basically hitting pain points and delivering a solution. But basically you're just trying to talk to their pain point, make it funny the best way you can. And the way we do it, this one that I'm going to show you is more of a montage funny. And it's about getting crickets. Like you send an email out, you're all excited and you're waiting for all the answers and everyone's going to be your client and nothing comes back except crickets. So I'm going to show you that. Where are we here? And then we'll come back after that. You can watch it and don't judge me. It's 3 minutes, I think 2.5, 3 minutes. So it's a little bit longer form.
Hey course creators, have you ever sent out an email hopeful to get more clients, clicks, replies, only to get crickets? And honestly, what can you do with crickets?
Here's to us, darling. I love you. You're my cricket queen.
When it's said and done, it's okay, baby, nothing really lasts forever. For now, let's run towards
Okay, little ones, it's time for a bedtime story. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Poor Scott. He's been getting crickets for so long. They've become his closest pals. But fret not, we have a solution. Oh, excuse me. To his cricket conundrums. And yours.
After writing thousands of emails for me and my clients, I've cracked the code on how to write quick converting emails that turn your words into gold. And now I'm handing it over to you. You'll discover how to escape the cricket prison and turn your subscribers into raving fans, loyal readers, and excited buyers.
Yes! Cut!
You'll write client-attracting, revenue-rich emails that feel so good. Just like this little kitty cat. And you'll make $3 gazillion.
Yes!
$3 gazillion? I want $3 gazillion!
That's right. Click the link to say goodbye to crickets in your emails now.
Click the link, baby.
Click the link to find out how to get your subscribers to fall head over heels with your heart-melting messages and blissfully throw big bucks on all that you offer.
All right, that's that one. That thing converted with a good sales letter she had, but that converted at 10%.
Wow, that's great.
10%, which is like a huge number, like bigger than she's ever had. And that was, I know so much more now, and that was a longer form one. But the idea is you're getting a flow, you're having fun, you're entertaining people, and you're hitting the pain point, and she's bringing the solution, and you're making little fun pokes here and there, and you just act stupid, and then you drive people to your thing. So that's how that goes. There's no one there. I don't see any comments, so it's like, is that like crickets? Do I need to get a cricket noise going on here, people?
Our cricket noise,
cricket noise. Okay, this next one is just, it's just really funny. Now, this is a friend of mine who has taught me a lot with ads. She has an ad business as well, and she's brilliant. And so this is a parody, and then I'll show you one of her really good ads that she did. And she started out the same way. I was telling Katie before we came live that she started in the business. She had a newborn infant. She was a single mom. She was living with her family on a farm, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. And she started her very first video. She shot with her iPhone with her brother. I could show you that one. Actually, I'd have to share the screen, but she was basically selling a thing for musicians because she was a singer-songwriter. And it was a $27 booklet. And she just basically was like, she's riding a toy horse. She's like, use what you got, whatever you have, iPhone, or whatever you have at your house or wherever you're at. So she was on a toy horse, then she's pushing a lawnmower. And then she's like walking over her brother's, like sitting on the toilet, reading a newspaper. They had a toilet on the farm sitting outside. And she goes to a little whiteboard and like gives you all the pain points and whatever. And she sold $1 million of a $27 product off that thing. So it just shows you adding a little, and again, here's the kicker. You don't have to be funny. You just need to be playful, and then just understand the marketing flow.
Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing too in that story is that she didn't wait until she had all the right equipment. She didn't say like, okay, well, I'll record this video once I like get into a studio space and I have like a video editor and I have, she went for it. She took a risk and it worked. So it's worth.
She's a multi click funnels, like those gold things, whatever they give you. She's like a Russell Brunson protege. Like she has like 3-4 businesses. Crazy. Anyway, so I'm going to show you this. This is more for just understanding how to play on a video if you just want to have fun and kind of like stand out from the crowd of just here's your 10 tips and kind of thing. So this is her, and this is a parody on entrepreneurs.
My name is Christine Morell, and I own 34 businesses. I work like 200 hours a week.
You know there's not that many hours in a week, right?
I know. That's how busy I am. I'm in a Zoom meeting while I'm in another Zoom meeting while I'm in an actual meeting while I'm filming all my meetings at the same time. I have to tune out the haters because they're jealous of my lifestyle. I get to hang out at the beach all day and do whatever I want.
I love to motivate people. I've been referred to as the most inspirational person of our time.
I expected the valuation of my companies to reach at least $150 million.
Well, how much have you made so far?
Well, nothing yet, but that's the life of an entrepreneur.
Sex life? What's sex life? You know what's sexy? Making money so I can pay my bills. I inspire people no matter where I'm at. What up, everybody? It's Motivation Monday. I'm talking about you gotta get motivated so that you can build that motivation so you can motivate the unmotivated.
So how have you made any money?
I make courses.
About what?
How to make courses.
I take my whiteboard with me everywhere I go.
Okay, you sold me a Coke, but you could have sold me an OTO with 2 Cokes, or you could have sold me a lifetime of Cokes, and that's called high ticket.
Man, are you gonna buy something or not?
My next idea is I'm gonna make a course on how to make courses about how to make courses.
I've known Russell Brunson since we were babies.
I mean, I'm practically like a female Russell Brunson, but a Mexican female Russell Brunson with pink hair, and I don't own a software company, and I make a lot less money.
You don't make any money!
Hater.
My name's Christine Morel, and I'm an entrepreneur.
She's so fun. I love
That
her.
one is so fun. Yeah.
I love
she's
her.
great.
Like she and she has done some challenges and stuff like that too, where she just talks about just bringing your phone, and that's how I started with her. So
she's willing. I mean, the vulnerability there in that one is awesome because she's willing to make fun of herself and make fun of the space that she's in,
right,
which
right,
then makes
right.
it feel relatable for people who are on the other side, and it's difficult to get started in the world of entrepreneur, right? That's why that's why those things are funny. So I just wanted to point out there, like the vulnerability in that one.
Yeah.
Like even though it seems like she's being like flippant and funny, there is a deep like vulnerability.
Comes from a real place.
That is the fear that everyone has, right?
Yeah.
That it's like,
and that's the whole point.
Hard.
That's the whole point of what I'm trying to get at with all this stuff is like, if you can make the pain points funny and real, then you kind of get it. And so that's really what it's about. It's like finding those pain points that you're speaking to your audience about, making it fun and playful. Because really it's like comedy is about exaggeration. So when you take something that's painful and you bring it to people's presence and then you like exaggerate the crap out of it, all of a sudden they have to laugh at themselves because it's like, oh yeah, that is really stupid, or that's really silly, or whatever. So I got one more for you, and this one was an actual ad. There's a real big life coach. I don't know her personally, but she's a big life coach in here, and they were selling tickets to an event or something like that. But if you look at again how the coach will be doing her more serious kind of doing the marketing side, and then there's the humor and the comedy as the entertainment side of it to go with it. So let's get on to that.
Are you feeling stuck in life? How did you even do that? If your life isn't turning out as planned and you've been feeling unmotivated, you need to get a ticket to my virtual 3-day event. I'm gonna help you stop feeling depressed and uninspired. I'll help you get motivated to take care of your physical health. I'll help you stop doing things that are wasting your time and money, like compulsive shopping. But seriously, check out some of these testimonials from people who've attended my events. Now is the time to stop doing the things that don't serve you and start getting what you really want. When you attend my virtual event, you are gonna feel like the beautiful person that you are. I'm gonna help you stop feeling like a victim and help you reach your highest potential. So if you're ready to get started and change your life, click below to attend my virtual event and let's get you unstuck. Click the link below to find out more.
There's another one. I always laugh with her stuff. So if you see again, these are great case studies to show you that even the people that think they're not playful, like that person is not known for comedy. I forgot her name already, of the coach. She's not known for laughing and playing in comedy stuff. But when you come into a space where people are funny and playful, we can help you do that kind of thing. It's like, and it's just what I'm trying to encourage you to do, to take some chances and take some risks and, put yourself out there and play a little bit and just like try some stuff and have some fun, experiment. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. The cool thing too is that like to go back to what we talked about on day 1 and day 2 is that so those examples were all funny, right? Like, but you
Right.
don't necessarily have to be funny. You should find out like what your vibe is and then take a look at, what kinds of videos are working in your space. So like be constantly watching and testing and trying, and don't be afraid to do something because you're worried about how it's going to come out. Like it doesn't, you try it and see what's
Right.
worth doing it. But if you're sitting here and you're like,
Right.
okay, but like I don't want to
Yeah, you
I
don't
don't
have
want to
to
dance
be.
on
Yeah.
camera and I don't want to do it. You don't have to. That's not the point of what we're saying. The point of what we're saying
Right.
is that it by being disarming and not doing what everyone else is doing and sitting kind of, in a frame shot like what we are doing today, it may
Right.
not actually be the best way to get out in front of your audience. So it's worth
Yeah, you're
playing
not
around with
gonna.
format and
You,
mediums.
you're not gonna. I mean, I think using short form,
Mhm.
whether it be organic or ads, to
Mhm.
drive people to the deeper conversations and things like this, and to your product and services. I think it's a winning formula that, as again, it's been proven to convert 80% higher than regular standard typical
Yeah.
talking head and stuff. And it's, because you can be very intimidated, myself included. Like, my Instagram and some of my other stuff is like, I'm like, how do these people get a million or, so many people so highly engaged on there? And it's like, you got to be able to, it's like in earlier days, it was a little bit easier to build things, and because you were getting more out to the people that were actually following you. And now it's like algorithm based and they want you to pay to play and all the things. But I think it's, when people are scrolling, especially in this 3-second world, and I'm going to be doing a spoken word rant about the 3-second thing because it drives me nuts. I'm like, really? That's our humanity now, is like 3 seconds. So
3 seconds.
yeah, it's like, it doesn't work for me. But knowing that that's true, when you're doing that, you got to be able to pop. Like when you're just seeing a bunch of people like doing typical stuff or just like, dancing or whatever, but then you see like someone dressed as a unicorn and like with their, whatever, that kind of stuff. You can, yeah. And the other thing is too, and yeah, you can be serious and funny. It's called dry humor too, right? It's another way of doing it. But the other thing to bounce off what Katie was saying about funny, because again, it can be very intimidating when you maybe aren't someone who's on stage or an improv person or an actor or any of that kind of stuff. But the main takeaway is, don't worry about being funny, just play. There's a difference between being funny and being playful, because playful, everybody can be playful. Playful is just bouncing off people. Like when you have conversations with your friends, hopefully there's some play in there. It's not just serious. You know what I mean? And so that's really the biggest thing, because so many people are afraid of like, oh, I have to be funny, so I'm not going to even try any of this stuff. Playful is where it's at. Question. We have an incoming question. Do you think that using comedy can be an unhealthy form of seeking validation consistently? That's a good question, Hank. Do I think comedy can be unhealthy? I think comedy, when you're avoiding being yourself, yes. I think people that hide their souls and hide their pain and hide their truth and kind of like people pleasing and don't want to really be seen authentically and just crack jokes all the time is very different than someone that's using humor and levity because it's who they are in a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think this workshop again has been really trying to get you not necessarily to be funny, but to stop overthinking things, to stop the perfectionism, to really like disarm yourself a little bit. So like practice some of the techniques that can train your mind to stop telling you the negative things that get in the way of you accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So I've been thinking as we were playing these videos and as Scott was speaking, many of you who are hanging out here in the chat with us today, and many of you who spend time on the Ecamm channels, we did a recent workshop with Kat Mulvihill. You can go back and find that here on the YouTube channel if you're interested. And this workshop was all about presentation skills in Zoom, right? It was like a Zoom training. And Kat is a very polished quote unquote person, right? So she has like a very like clean, polished set. She's going through like trainings for professionals, but Kat also like is authentically herself. So like she has found space that works for her. She's not afraid to laugh at herself if something goes wrong. She like you can see her like pausing and thinking about questions as they come in and being like, how would I do that? Okay. Like she's not a robot. She's not reading a script. You see her coming across, right? And so she is, even though that video is certainly more polished than what we just watched, she's still playing and being authentically herself, and she's turning off the thoughts that we all have, and she's focusing on, you know, the value she wants to provide to her audience. So I think there's different ways to approach it. And what we're really trying to say is less funny, which can be, as Hank, as you're saying, can be can be unhealthy. I think if you're always trying to get a joke and you're always trying to get attention and you're trying to kind of going after it that way. I think what we're really trying to drive home here is we all want to be better presenters because we all want to reach our audience and fulfill our passion and, you know, and support our communities and be successful, whatever that means for you. And so what we need to do to get there is to turn off a lot of those negative, you know, voices in our head, and using these kinds of skills, I think, helps retrain us to get back to that mindset when you're a kid and you don't worry as much about things that are actually not all that important. We've trained ourselves incorrectly as adults. So.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. We've gotten to this point where it's like we think everything has to be perfect, lighting, sound. I mean, just all the things, but just because I always like to say, and this is where, you know, I get on my soapbox a little bit. I can be very soapboxy when I want to be, but I'm just not a formula guy. And my hat's off to people that have done really, really, really well with what they do. And I have nothing against any of it. And I've learned from every single person that I've ever studied with. But what I also notice is like so many people are teaching, 95% of people are teaching, 97%. They're all sharing the same exact steps and formulas. And I'm like, where is your innovation? Where's your originality? The people that we love the most are people that do not have formulas. They made their own. They made their own rules. Again, I go to people, this is the marketing space, like Gary Vee and you know, Grant Cardone, Brennan Burchard, different people. Like they're just being themselves. They're not afraid to speak their truth. They have big hearts. They're doing their thing, and you know, love them or like them. And those are just a couple examples. They're not like reading someone else's formulas and reading someone else's like step-by-step process. And I think we all have to learn that when we're first starting out. We're like, well, I don't know anything about this space. I'm going to go like study everybody. But then you got to like, you know, what do they say? Like learn the rules and then throw them out, essentially.
Yeah.
Learn the rules, then throw them out. Because otherwise, who stands out? How do you stand out in a crowd of everybody doing the same thing? And the other deeper part of it is, why are people really coming to you? When it comes, and I'm talking about people that are in this space more so than people that are just pure entertainment space. People are coming to you because they want you. They want your energy. They want your heart, your connection, your personality, your quirkiness, your weirdness, your fun, all the things. This is what is most important. And I think we lose sight of that. And so trying to be anyone else is just a joke. And remember, back to the comedy, being yourself is your superpower. So it is the truth. And, you know, I remember starting years ago when I was starting to teach in this space or talk about it, I had a brand called the Just Do You Revolution. It was just like, that's it. It's like, it's hard because we have egos that are blabbering all this negative crap all the time, but it's like, there's nothing more real. And everything else is stressful.
It is. And some of it doesn't also... Some of it also you may not even realize about yourself. Like some of the most perfect moments are ones that you've just given yourself time and space to have. So this is one of my favorite examples. So shout out to there's a really weird, quirky, fun podcast called Obituary. It's entirely about death. I highly recommend it if you're dark and weird like me. But
oh my God,
one of my this is a great example. I think a good example of this, and I use it often. So hopefully they're not angry at me for sharing this. But they early on in their podcast, you know, they had pretty like most podcasters, you know, terrible microphones and poor production quality, and they had like a really small audience, and they're very kind of just themselves. They're two friends, and they share stories back and forth, and they read obituaries, and this is their show. And so they were starting to get emails coming in from their audience. And so they were reading this email out loud on the podcast. And one of the co-hosts read the email, and she said, "This is an email from Geoff," because the name was spelled Geoff. And she read it quickly, and she wasn't thinking. Maybe she's never seen Jeff spelled with a G.
Right, with a G.
But she was like, well, even from G off. And then there was just silence for like what felt like an eternity. And then her co-host said, that's Jeff. That's not Geoff. And I'm sure in that moment she was completely humiliated and felt like, she was an idiot and it had this kind of moment. But instead of scrapping that episode, because they pre-recorded, they could have just not released that episode. They could have re-recorded it. She could have, cut that out. She could have felt horrible. Her friend could have made fun of her. They doubled down on it. And they now, so every episode since, they would make jokes about it. They would call back to it. And now, a year later or 2 years later into the show, their audience, their following are now known as Geoffs, and they sell merchandise that says,
"Oh my God,
Geoff" on it.
Comedy. There's comedy marketing gold right there.
Right. And so this is a good example of someone who's not overly funny. Like that was not her intention.
It was just a moment. It was a moment.
It was actually a mistake. It was something that was humiliating to her, I'm sure, in that moment. And yet, because she doubled down on it, because she opened herself up to that moment, because she heard how her listeners were responding to it and that they thought it was funny and they liked it, and they just doubled down on it and carried it, and it became this like really fundamental part of the show. Like it now is like as much a part of the show as the name of the show itself and the concept. So I do think, like, again, if you're like sitting here and you're like, okay, I'm really introverted, I'm super shy, I like comedy scares me, I'm with you. I don't think I'm overly funny.
Throw
I
out the word comedy. Yeah, throw out the word comedy.
Throw that out. But I'm willing to, I've gotten better at being willing to fail publicly, make mistakes out loud and in public, and see what the response is and be willing to respond quickly. So yesterday when we were doing those games and you have to respond quickly, I've gotten better at that. Like now when mistakes happen or things happen, even if I have a moment of like, oh no, I can see the potential in the mistake. And it's those episodes and those moments that end up actually becoming much more beautiful
100%.
Than you think. So I don't know. That's one of my favorite stories because I think
I love that.
She did such a great job with that. And now I am a diehard Geoff fan of this show. But it's a good example of like,
now we all know you listen to obituary shows. That's kind of cool.
I do. Shout out to that.
That's a fun fact. I think I would love to bounce off that because I think that is a perfect example of what we've been trying to do here this whole week, which is to just bounce off of and play off of what happens in real time, as opposed to trying to be funny or trying to do anything else. Because it's not about that. Some of us are funny naturally, some of us aren't, whatever. I think everybody's funny because it's like, even if you're dry, you're still funny somewhere because there's something quirky and weird about you, or you have some mannerism, or you say something like everyone's got a story and everyone's got some humor in them. So, but it's not about it's never been about trying to be funny. I've never tried to get that across here. But the reality of it is what she just said, that literally just turned into a gold mine. It's the same. I was thinking about this. This was a mistake. The Post-its were a mistake. They were trying to do some other product or glue or whatever, and the thing was a mistake. And so you'd be surprised how these moments, because again, you're being present, you're bouncing, you're playing off of what's actually happening, and all of a sudden that thing might become your best selling piece of merchandise, or it might become a whole new brand, or it might become a whole new show, or it might become. And this is the whole point of being present and playing and pivoting and being open and improvising in your life, in your business, and everything you do, in your relationships. Because when you're present in your relationship, it's the same thing. You're present. You can be there. You can be playful. You can listen. You can walk out the door if you need to. It's like whatever you need to do in the moment. It's just a great philosophy. I think I've been really happy with this concept that came up for me, and something, and all started. I think maybe I shared, maybe I didn't. I forgot. But the whole creating out loud thing just really started when I was just tired of hiding, and I just had to put something out. I just started I'm turning the camera on and I'm just going to put something out, whether it was guitar playing or a poem, or whether I just went live to motivate people or share a story or whatever, and did like a 30-day challenge of just making a video every day. And that's how it started, because I remember I had it written down somewhere and now it just popped in my head. See, this is being in the moment. There's nothing heavier than that weight of regret. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And hiding from yourself is the worst thing you could ever do. And being yourself is the biggest gift you can give yourself and the world, just like that slide says. Mm-hmm. I wrote that slide, so. So of course it says that.
Awesome.
So, any other questions? It's been a bit of a silent,
no.
silent auction. Silent auction. We're good.
Nodding and agreeing. A couple. So thanks, Paul, for sharing the professional presence workshop with Kat. Comment about Kat was the reason why they joined Ecamm. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's we're here to support you. So this is the last day of this particular workshop, but make sure that you are signed up. Go to
get that bonus day.
/loud to get that bonus day and special content and your certificate. So we'll be sending those out to everyone that is registered and that completed this workshop with us. And shout out to all of you who are hanging out with us later in the future in the replay. We do check all of these comments and questions. So feel free to drop any questions or comments in.
Yes,
we'll keep tabs on all of that. And we're, honestly, like if you've popped here and you're not part of, you're not using Ecamm as a software, you're not part of the Ecamm fam, you are welcome. We are here to support you and encourage you. So you swing on over to ecamm.com/community. And that is where you can find our Facebook group and our Discord spaces. They're great places to practice in a safe space and a safe environment. So it's sometimes that's what you need to get started, is to just have a couple people show up and cheer you on and give you some feedback so that you feel confident to do that. But I will say, I love that we called this creating out loud, because I think that's the thing that people don't want to do, but that's the next step to get you where you need to go. You need to do it in front of someone. If you're just doing it by yourself and hiding it, it's not the same. So please take that step. If we can encourage you to do that, we're here to help.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Scott, for sharing your stories and your vulnerability, for bringing Adam and Gary on. It was so fun getting to do.
Yes, and we'll be back. We'll be back with that bonus day. That's going to be to make up for our other side, and to add some more value and play some more games and all the things. And I was gonna make fun. We were gonna have a closing ceremony in the first email that I sent Katie. I was like, or not the first email, but like the proposal side of it. I said, we're going to have a closing ceremony. And then I put it underneath it with an asterisk. I said, Scott has no idea what the closing ceremony is. And I think, and I'm going to leave it at that too. But it's but I want to make
ceremony is shout out to everyone who has been hanging out.
Shout out to everyone.
Yeah.
Let's give some shout outs for them. Where's my horn? I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. DJ Horn, where you at? Hold on. It's coming. Oh, this is really embarrassing. See, but I'm living in the moment.
You're good.
I can't even find it. Oh, well.
You're good. We see.
It's all good. But I want to say, I do want to give a special shout out to someone really special that actually was able to help this happen. So let's hear it for Katie. Let's hear it for Katie. Can we please do that? I just really want to say thank you so much for this woman's constant positivity and vulnerability, and just always being open for conversation, and just adding such great value to this community, and for being part of this amazing company with so much. I just love this. I just love this company and the software. And it's like, it's one of my favorites. And for anyone that cares about me at this point, you can, my website is Scott Brandon Hoffman. If you want to check me out, say hello, send me a contact or an email. On there you can do so. And I'm Scott Brandon Hoffman on all the socials except for the X. I think X is, I changed it from the entertainer finally to S Brandon Hoffman.
Stepped out from behind the entertainer.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, because the entertainer is actually like a toy store in the UK. So I kept getting all their emails. So thank you, Hank. Thank you, all you beautiful people. I love you. Appreciate you. Hope we can do something again. And I'm sure I'll see you in the community.
So Maggie said, so she was at a 1.5 on camera confidence and is now up to a 6.5. I love that.
Maggie.
That's awesome. It takes time. You know what? I just celebrated my 5 years at Ecamm, which is big for me. Yeah. And I will say, and I've said this on almost every stream I was on, the first couple of weeks of hey, I agreed that I would host live streams, not having any idea how to use the software, never having live streamed, all that. I committed to doing that because I really wanted the job, right? So I did that. Yeah. And it was terrifying. And I was literally you could have seen me shaking. You could have heard my heartbeat beating on those first live streams. But I'm happy I did it, because everyone that I've met, all of the things that went wrong along the way have taught me. So it takes time. I'm on 5 years and I still make mistakes often, and I still get freaked out, and
but you're being
have
yourself.
all kinds of moments.
You're being yourself, right?
But I
you're not
learn
ever
something
trying to
new
be
every
anybody.
time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got this, Maggie. You're going to get all the way to an 11, and then you'll go back probably to 8, and then you'll go back up to 11 again.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it goes
it's
up
all
and down.
good.
I mean, I honestly, I've been having it on my monthly notes, I think, or my monthly goals. I've been having go live for like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 years. And it's like, I went live one time before a long time ago with someone to play some music, but and like we talked about yesterday, I think the other thing is you also got to find where your superpower is. Like is it in a banter situation like this? Like I love this
it might not be live. It might be with a guest. It might be with a co-host. It might be, who
but I'm
knows?
saying some people, not everyone wants to go solo. Some people want to be with people, and some people love going solo, and they love just talking to themselves. So it's all good. Yeah. All right. I appreciate you. Thanks for moderating, Paul. We love you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks
everyone.
Everybody. And I forgot what I do here. I have to end it. Do I end it? Where do I end it? Oh, do I put? I got somebody saying one of those old movies. Push the button. See, I just got vulnerable again. I don't know how to end the damn stream. Okay. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next bonus call. And much love. Have a great weekend.